Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing great today. Appreciate those of you who be watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. Also appreciate those of you who have subscribed. Thank you very much. Especially considering I know this ain't the best reviews, considering there's a lot better people out there doing this on YouTube land. So grateful for those of you who have took the time to subscribe. Thank you very much. So today we're going to be talking about the adventures of the Lone Ranger and the movie here. As a kid, I watched the black and white shows all the time, enjoyed them as a kid. I even watched this movie as a kid, but I don't really remember what I thought about it as a child. I just know I watched it. It was on TV. So it didn't really leave a big impression on me. I know that much. So let's get into the Lone Ranger. I feel like they kind of messed up the story of this. They should have started this movie out kind of like Tim Burton did with Batman, where the Lone Ranger and Tonto are already established. Instead, we get a lot of background, not really background, but we get like the beginning of the Lone Ranger. It starts off with him as a kid. So the movie does have like a dark beginning where his family gets massacred. He meets Tonto, so we see him meet Tonto. Then later on in the movie, we see him find Silver, and then we get like a 10-minute montage of him breaking in Silver, where he can actually ride Silver and bond together, where they're, basically a one mind, I guess. So you get a lot of that, and it kind of drags the movie on. It kind of drags the movie a little bit. I found this movie to be boring. It wasn't very much adventure to me. It was a kind of a drag. I think they made the wrong choice with the actor who did the Lone Ranger. I guess Kurt Russell was in the running. I don't know. Kurt Russell might have made a very good Lone Ranger, but they picked another guy. Or just say this other guy. His name's going to be in the title. If I can't pronounce the names, I usually try not to say them. But anyways, I guess he was so bad and so mean to people. Like, this is his only starring role that he ever did. Like, after the Lone Ranger, if you look him up on IMDb, he did no other movies. He became a model. So I guess the little research I did about the movie, about the background, I guess the lead actor was such a a-hole that he had basically the whole crew hating the guy. I guess he thought he was going to be a big movie star now because he's in this movie. Unfortunately for him, this movie is a stinker. But it does have some good qualities, the Lone Ranger, especially the stunts. The stunts in this movie are amazing. You do get one stunt where at the beginning we have a stagecoach chase. And we have one of the actors, he's hanging underneath the horses. And he lets go. He goes underneath the 6 horses, underneath the carriage. Pretty cool, pulled off. Unfortunately for him, though, his leg got caught underneath one of the wheels and broke his leg, but injured his leg really badly on that stunt. But it looks cool on screen. If I believe right, they did the same stunt in Maverick with Mel Gibson. I think that one was pulled off without a hitch. I could be wrong on that one, though. Got to do a little bit more research. But going back here to the Lone Ranger. So we do get to see the Lone Ranger, come up. And at least we do get to see him kind of train and become the Lone Ranger. He's not, like all his abilities just aren't there. We see him actually as a kid learning how to shoot the guns, bow and arrows, developing the skills that he'll need when he becomes an adult to, fight these bad guys, the crime. And the main villain is Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd does do a pretty good job of playing a villain in The Lone Ranger, and he did a good job in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Christopher Lloyd is able to pull off a pretty cool villain. I always like Christopher Lloyd. He's a good actor. Of course, I know as a youngster, I knew him more from playing Doc Brown. And then when I saw him play other roles, I was surprised they didn't have that crazy gray hair, like he was actually a young guy. But enough about that. In this movie, Christopher Lloyd, he is the villain, and he's trying to, I guess, separate Texas from the rest of the United States. He gets his old gang of soldiers. And the whole plot is him kidnapping the President of the United States, USS Grant. You see, I can't really pronounce names very well. And holding him hostage and making him sign over Texas to Christopher Lloyd, and therefore succeeding the United States. We get some other famous cowboys in here, like I believe, oh boy, I gotta check my notes here, pardon me. Wild Bill and then Mustard is, in this movie, not the real people, but people playing them. So you get those guys, and they kind of play a part in the end when they're trying to rescue the president from Christopher Lloyd's gang of men. So the ending, though, you do get some good climax fighting there at the end. Get some good action stuff going on. Like I said, Christopher Lloyd does a very good job playing the villain. The villain is pretty scary, I guess you can say. He's pretty vicious. And very well done. It's just you got a lot of nothing going on, and it gets that's a good 30 to 40 minutes where it's like kind of boring, especially the part where he's trying to train Silver. I thought that was I don't know. I was just hoping it would end. Almost wanted to fast forward that part. Movie is very slow, too slow. It'd be nice if there was some information going on during the slow periods of time, but there's not. It's poorly done. Now, I haven't seen The Lone Ranger of Johnny Depp. I was wanting to, but I never did. I never gotten around to it. If I ever get a chance to, I might check it out because I do like Johnny Depp as a actor, and it can't be worse than this Lone Ranger. I just think the story was I think they took the direction of the story wrong. They should have already had the Lone Ranger established. You gotta watch like an hour of this movie before the Lone Ranger even appears, before our main character, male lead here, becomes the Lone Ranger. So you only got like maybe 30 minutes of the Lone Ranger doing the Lone Ranger stuff. Even then, it's kind of like, but like, if you're gonna watch this movie, you got good stunts. Watch it for the stunts. If you want to be a stunt person, you love movies that has excellent stunts, this movie's for you. If you're a big Christopher Lloyd fan, you'll love this movie. He does an excellent job playing the villain. But overall, this movie's kind of slow, boring. Not a very good Western, not a very good movie, period. But, that's probably why they didn't make more of them. Anyways, have you seen The Legend of the Lone Ranger? Did you enjoy it? Am I totally off base here? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What do you guys think about The Legend of the Lone Ranger? Interested in reading them and maybe having a conversation down below. Have a great day, and until next time, bye.